What if I told you that the ancient spiritual practice of waiting is actually a powerful, high-level training session for your brain? In this explainer, we're going to crack open a timeless scriptural promise through the lens of modern science and show you exactly how to become the master of your own internal clock.
So let's just start with a really honest question. Do you live with that nagging feeling in the back of your mind that you're always behind? You know, that sense that your internal clock is just permanently stuck on rushed and anxious? If you're nodding your head right now, you are in exactly the right place, because we are about to dismantle that feeling piece by piece.
You know, a lot of us buy into this idea that stress is just part of our DNA, right? It's the gene myth. We think this is just who I am. But the truth, and this is backed by some amazing neuroscience, is that your brain can, and does, change. That internal clock of yours is not fixed. It is absolutely possible to reset it.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by looking at your rushed internal clock. Then we'll uncover an ancient scientific promise. After that, we'll dive into the neuroscience of waiting, give you a 3-step protocol to reset everything, and wrap it up with a 21-day mind rewire challenge.
All right, first up, let's talk about the problem itself. That frantic, hurried internal clock that for so many of us basically runs the whole show.
And here's the most important thing I want you to hear today. Feeling chronically rushed is not a personality trait. It's not who you are. It's actually a programmable state of your nervous system. You are not a prisoner to it. And really getting that is the first, crucial step to changing it for good. Now here's where things get really interesting. We're going to see how all of this connects to an ancient promise that modern science is only just beginning to understand. This is where faith and neuroscience beautifully intersect.
This incredible promise comes from Isaiah 40:31. It says that those who wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. Now, for centuries, people have read this as a beautiful, poetic, spiritual idea. But what if it's more than that? What if it's actually a clinical description of a biological process?
And this brings us to the absolute core of this whole explainer. Waiting on the Lord is not about passively sitting on your hands hoping something happens. It is a biological command. It is an active, high-level neurological training session that science today calls emotional regulation. This single idea changes everything.
Okay, so if waiting is really just a form of emotional regulation, what in the world is actually going on inside our heads when we do it? Let's geek out for a minute and look at the neuroscience.
Think of it like this. When you're always rushing, your brain flips into survival mode. It gets flooded with cortisol, the stress hormone, which literally shuts down the part of your brain that's in charge of smart decisions and clear thinking. It's a constant state of emergency. But this practice of waiting, it shifts you out of that survival brain and into a regulated brain, what the scripture calls a sound mind. This is where you find deep regulation, and that's where your strength is truly renewed.
Now, just knowing this with your conscious mind isn't quite enough. We've got to get this truth down deep into your subconscious, because that's the part that's actually running the show. It's like the operating system in the background controlling your heart rate, your breathing, and, you guessed it, your internal sense of time. And the thing is, it is always listening for new instructions.
So that brings us to the really practical part. How do we give our subconscious mind those new instructions? Well, let's walk through a super simple but incredibly powerful 3-step protocol to reset your internal clock.
The whole protocol breaks down into 3 simple parts. First, own your morning window. Second, use the power of silence. And third, you're going to speak directly to your hurry.
Okay, step 1 is beyond crucial because your brain is most open, most programmable in those first few minutes after you wake up. So if the very first thing you do is grab your phone and see 100 notifications, bam, you've just programmed your internal clock for emergency. But if you own that morning window instead, you can intentionally set your brain's frequency to peace, to God's timing.
Step 2, the power of silence. And this is so simple, it's almost deceptive. Just 5 minutes. 5 minutes of total stillness. This isn't just zoning out. It's like a manual override for a stressed-out nervous system. This tiny habit is a biological reset that tells your brain, hey, we're safe. You can power down the emergency systems and move back into a state of strength.
And finally, step 3. You speak directly to that feeling of hurry. So when you feel that anxiety closing in, you literally declare this truth out loud. By saying this over and over, you're not just saying nice words. You are physically building and strengthening new, peaceful pathways in your brain until calm becomes your new default. So now you have the protocol. But the big question is, how do you make it stick? That's where our final section comes in, the 21-day mind rewire. Neuroscience has shown us that it takes time to carve out new habits, to build those new neural pathways. So the challenge is simple. Commit to this 3-step waiting protocol for just 21 days. Think of it as a focused, intensive scripture rewire for your brain, designed to make peace, not stress, your go-to response.
Because at the end of the day, consistency is everything. It's the daily practice that truly renews your mind. And it proves that waiting on the Lord isn't just some nice spiritual concept. It's a biological law that when you actually apply it leads to incredible transformation.
And all of this leaves us with one final, powerful question to think about. Is your strength coming from your speed, or is it coming from your source? It's a choice you now know how to make every single morning.
So, thanks for joining us on Bible Brain Connections. Be sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, click on the next video, or check out our video playlist so you can learn more about these brilliant connections between science and scripture. Also, leave a comment below. We would love to hear from you. Well, goodbye for now, and we'll see you in the next video.